a video about some of the stuff that I've been posting if you're watching my pages. Um, because some of it is my schizophrenia and my story that I want to explain, but it's my real life story. I'm being very serious because this is a very serious moment. I don't want anyone to think that these stories are not real. My stories in highway are real, that I went on a great pursuit to prove that people like Jeffrey Epstein were using things like highway to recruit for other victims, and it was in Columbus where these events were happening, and we now know that he did a lot of recruitment in Columbus, and I spent a lot of time in Columbus with my friends. So yesterday, I didn't know the files were going to be released, and I am stable on medication and I'm doing really well. Making videos, I think, is helpful for especially my therapist, to see me talking and know that I'm talking well and I'm stable. Yesterday, they released the files, and John Benet Ramsey's in the files. Virginia Giuffre she released voice files that are really um, damaging. And then there is the veteran's story of his abuse that is really awful. And there is just a lot of really terrible things that I expected to be in the files because I've been researching this for a really long time. And I just want to talk about it because it helps free me. Before I read what I wrote yesterday morning. So yesterday morning I woke up, and I'll read it real quick. So, living with schizophrenia and PTSD. The paranoia that comes from being paranoid schizophrenia is tough. My biggest problem was fear, fearing everyone and everything. Those would harm me. And then, I don't want to read it word for word, but who I fear is the Clintons, and I want to write about why I fear them so much. And it's because I believe that I have a suppressed trauma that would link more government officials, specifically in Ohio, to abuse of minors, who would be me and my friends, and we would be we are linked to government corruption abuse that is probably linked to Epstein if you dig enough. I think they had cameras set up in these hotels. They do. I have pictures of them with cameras. There was a lot of footage taken at these dances and these hotels. We spent most of the time doing stuff like that than we did working on our government stuff. Most notably, I did a bill about birth control in schools, which I later in life worked with a company that put healthcare in schools. So I just felt like that was divinity, because it just kind of all happened that I were, and the reason we wanted birth control in schools is because we were being abused. We just don't talk about that. I talk more openly about it. The people around me all have abuse stories, and they're nervous about talking openly about it, so I'll go first. And I don't mind talking about my history. I don't remember my abuse because I feel I had mental altering done to me. I feel like the mental mind altering done, because at these highway events there was a lot of hypnotism done, mind stuff was done, dances. If you guys remember, there was hypnotism at dances. Why did we have hypnotisms at dances all the time? Like they would have a hypnotist guy come in and hypnotize us. So they were hypnotizing us at FFA events, highway events, dances. Often the big event was a big, you're going to get hypnotized. And then later in the night, adult things would happen with cameras around. And that was the abuse. That footage, I believe, got connected to Epstein, and that our footage may be on the Epstein Files, and that's why they made me famous. because it would be a lot of my footage I took of my friends. This is my fear because I had a computer that had a lot of adult content on it. I had a lot of content of myself that was adult that I gave to Uncle Charlie because it belonged to him, and I didn't know how to delete stuff. So I would take stuff not knowing that it goes into the cloud, it goes places, and people can connect to your devices, and they can watch you in your computers, and they can clone your phones. Like, these things are real. This is not that far out there to think that these things I'm experiencing, these are my real fears. I worked in a high level data analyst job at the time of 2020. They wanted what my knowledge that I have in my training, and they wanted to push me out. I really think the global elite was trying to get me out of the way. Now, that is quite a statement to say. And family and friends are probably worried about me. Don't be, because this is like really freeing for me. This is my whole life. I have felt like something bad happened to me at these hotels. Something bad happened to me. And if only I could remember, if only I could remember, if only I could remember. So desperately I wrote for so long, and I said all these crazy things, and I've done all these crazy things, and I misunderstood and maybe not believed. And when you dig up everything, it all connects together that this is reality for me. Now, I can get very conspiratorial and with stuff with what I think the global elite are up to, but I think people now would want to know my opinions and my thoughts on the matter, having walked this journey. Um, but I am paranoid schizophrenic, and I have said quite a lot of things that I don't remember, and I don't want to remember. My biggest thing was I felt switched. I felt like I was being switched in and out with like a twin version or a clone of me. Now, that is my schizophrenia doing something with my mind, switching me in and out of my consciousness. But I feel like I was under mind spells from my childhood, from groomers using, people know about BDSM, but the trafficking, what's coming on the Epstein Files is heavy in the violent words and things, and those words will trigger me into certain behavior. And I feel like that was done in hypnotism back in my childhood. When I was married to Jeff, I would just freak out and say a lot of things that were coming from someplace else that weren't of me, and he knew it was something deeper. But I never told him about abuse that I had went through, because I didn't know that I was abused. I'm not a victim mindset, so it's not that bad. But then as an adult, if I'm telling my mother this is what happened to us, these are the things that we saw and did, this is where we went, and these are the things, and you look at our ages, it started in 3rd grade to 14. We were very exploited as children, and it's just like, now that the Epstein Files are out, I feel like I can tell my story and my friend's story from middle school, and that's kind of what middle school media was about. Healing my childhood trauma, specifically in the middle school age, is very therapeutic for me, and um, I know that I'm saying a lot of crazy things on the internet, but I have to get it off my chest. So getting it off my chest feels very good. And thank you, anyone that's reading along or watching.